India and RFI here. Today, guest and speaker Dr. Deepak Agrawal sir is taking care for the understanding the role play methodology for innovative teaching. He is right now director of LBSITM Indore. Dr. Deepak Agrawal sir is a doctorate in management and master in management and commerce. He initiated his career as a finance manager in a public limited company, having of 22-year teaching experience.
Hello. Does everybody is getting my voice?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Thank you so much just for introducing myself.
Yes, sir.
So let me start with the today's presentation. That is
Can you do a full screen, please?
just a minute,
Uh,
ma'am.
yeah.
See, there is a problem related with my presentations. Was when we carry over with the continuation with the PPTs, na, matlab just next screen. So many of the times it does not changes to your screen, to your laptop or maybe on desktop. In that case, just like please inform to me. I need to return back and again used to get to the next screen. Just like this is the first screen. Can you see the my table of content second screen?
Is it?
Second slide.
It is
Yes,
visual,
sir.
sir. You
Okay, sir.
can
Thank you
proceed.
so much. In case if it is not visible to it, please let me know. So that today's topic, that is understanding the role play methodology for the innovative teaching. Assessed in today's environment, it is nothing much new about it. We all are very much familiar with this terminology. So I think this session would be brushing up you people to a certain extent, and it will be very helpful for those people who have entered in the academic world. Yeah, please put your mic muted. So there are many ways we have learned earlier for our teaching pedagogy. Just like in spite of our conventional mode of teaching, we are practicing a lot, particularly when we belongs to the management area or the management subject group. That this type of practices are very commonly being used. Amongst them, the most commonly used, that is the case study. And this is an extension. We can say that this can be an extension to the case study. If we make a talk about the case study, it is simply a situation which may be realistic or which may not be. So I can say that it is a simulation based exercise in which the students are been provided that situation, they go through that, they try to understand and just try to optimize the best solution available as per their learnings. So still this is widely accepted and used. Someone please put your mic muted, please. My request to RFI member whosoever is available, please mute all of the mics. Yeah. In case of any queries, you can please note it down. We can discuss at the end of the session. So case study is also one of the conventional mode of teaching and very popular in terms of management. It may be somewhat new to the certain other areas. Then extension to that, that is the role play. Again, if we say that what is a role play, to as a role play is nothing new to us. This is the same thing what we are been doing since our childhood. The only thing, it has been little bit polished and it has been presented in somewhat different way in the present management or in the present academic scenario. But yes, if we talk about the NEP and the new education system, so the such type of activities have been assigned more weightage to what we are doing in the mode of conventional teaching. So this is the table of content. These are the major topics what we are trying to cover in today's session. purpose, values, steps involved, the role of the effect on role play of the students, and the most important, what is the role of a teacher in the role play. Ultimately, they are the mentors. So finally, whatever has been decided and provided, that makes the things happen. I hope you can see my third slide. So, with the words of the Shakespeare, he says that all the world is a stage.
Excuse me, sir. The slides are not visible to us. You are on the first slide
Yeah,
only.
that is the problem I just discussed. So I need to move back in the presentation mode, and I will keep on adding. So now I am at this third slide. Fine. So Shakespeare says that all the world is a stage and all the men and women are the players. They are simply the players. In their life, they have their exist and their entrances. And one man has to play many roles in his life. Finally, William Shakespeare had defined the role of a man into 7 ages or into the 7 steps, but I'm not including those things. But ultimately, the word of the Shakespeare says that the whole world is a stage and we need to perform the various roles at the same thing. I always try to compare this quote with the movie of Shri legendary actor Raj Kapoor Saab and the director, producer. He, in his movie, in one of his movie, he says that कि ये दुनिया एक रंगमंच है और हमें अलग अलग तरीके से अपने आप को इन द मूवी दैट इज मेरा नाम जोकर और हमें कई प्रकार के रोल्स हमें परफॉर्म करने पड़ते हैं. तो आई थिंक दैट ही हैज अडॉप्टेड दिस वर्ड्स फ्रॉम द इंस्पिरेशन एज फॉर द Shakespeare. So ultimately, extending to it, what is the role play? So in very short, in the words of Russell and Stafford, we can say that it is a form of a experimental learning. And experimental learning means here the students are being asked to perform the various tasks. They are used to get inside the role of someone else, and finally they used to act accordingly. So there are the major outcomes which are going to improve in his or her life in the future time duration. So can be said that it is an educational technique in which people spontaneously act out with some problems which are related to human relations. And at the second side, they try to learn to analyze those problems which will help of the other players and the observers. So multidimensional performances are being evaluated. Number one thing, that a student is trying to learn to focus upon the problem which may be related to himself or herself or may be related to someone else. So it is associated with the human relationship. And at the second side, it helps to identify the way, the mode to overcome such type of problems. Further, it has been further suggested that it is a student-centered activity to apply learning through problem-based activities. So it can say there are problem-based activities, we try to find out the solution for it, and the role play comes and performs in that manner. I will discuss more in the later slides. As per the concept, if we say, it is an activity where people pretend to someone else or in some situation. Again, that situation may be realistic, it can be a futuristic, it can be an imaginative, it can be anything. It can involve acting out a situation or assuming a role and can be done by the individuals, pairs, or groups. So another characteristic of the role play activity that this can be performed as an individual, it can be a pair-based activity, or it can be assigned into certain groups. So as per the requirement of our topic, this type of activities can be defined and can be further classified in the form of the students to be engaged in it. Briefly, the role play activities are having the 4 broad objectives. Number one, it helps in developing the creativity of the students. Many of the times the students hesitate. They have certain good things. Just like for an current example, in my more or less we all used to celebrate the Janmashtami almost in all the colleges or universities, I believe. So there are the new students who entered in our institute, and they have somewhat created something beautiful, just like they have created peacock and decorated the many of the things. So ultimately, this creativity comes upon. Secondly, the role play helps in establishing the collaboration amongst one another. We have seen not the only students, by ourselves, we are very, very happy in a peer group. But ultimate objective is not to engage the students in the form of peer groups. There may be differentials, there may be different type of students should be collaborated amongst each other so that they can understand and it makes them workable in their future life. Because these students are not going to work under the peer group. So ultimately, they need to manage with different type of people, with different durations, with different attitudes. So this helps to develop this activity. This activity helps to develop the collaborative efforts. The third objective is developing the critical thinking. This what we also used to do in terms of the case study. But under case study, just we can say that already a case given and they're having a thought process. And that is all, they are having the imaginations and they put in the form of words. But when the same thing is been kept in the form of role play, the student themselves are performing that role or the different roles. So it may develop a thinking about it, basically critical thinking about it to have, overcome such type of situations. Just for an example, there is a strike in a company. Or to as per the, I think yesterday's news, that Mr. Anil Ambani has been banned from the stock market and certain amount of fine has been put over there. So he was having many of the industries related to Reliance Communication and many more. So anyone can be acted as an Anil Ambani, and there can be many people, just like a person from the SEBI, there may be some person from the stock exchange, there may be a government representative, there may be a person from finance in the background, banking background. So by performing the various roles, they will try to understand actually what happened, because it requires research to perform this activity. So they are conducting, once they are conducting the research, they are getting more insights about the same thing. And finally, the role play helps to improve the communication amongst themselves. Once again, the shyness comes upon. I basically belongs to the Malwa region. It's a Hindi speaking belt. But rather than Hindi speaking, the another problem that most of our students come from nearby surroundings and they can only speak Malvi. This is a regional language. Those who belong to MP region, they do understand. So even they are not comfortable to speak Hindi, not comfortable to understand Hindi. So it becomes a certain restrictions. So in that case, the role play activities can help to develop. Again, language is not a bar. Even if they are good enough in Malvi, because most of the people, even in city area, they can speak Malvi, regional language. So ultimately, the objective is to transformation of the information from one person to another. How we can open them, that is the biggest thing. Just like if the students enters in the first day of the college, we used to conduct the induction program. Okay, fine. But before, sometimes if there is a delay or some after induction is to be conducted, we normally have an introduction round amongst the students. They are very shy, they hesitate to speak because number one, they are lacking the confidence about it. And secondly, definitely the communication language problem may arise. So this is all are the basic objectives which can be improved with the help of the role play activities. These are the purposes. Number one, already discussed, to convey the meaningful information. And at the second side, the transformation of the students. So these are the basic two purposes. Then next one is to develop specific skills. Just like while the students are performing different kinds of roles, and you can identify the interest of the student, you can focus much more to develop those things. Another example I would like to quote that one of my student, he belongs to the very remote area in Indore district, and he the same thing, he can speak Hindi, a little bit of Hindi, but he is good in Malvi. But he is a poet. We used to say that he is the poet of Veeraras, and very good poetry the student used to do. So yeah, ultimately, by performing, by making them, or just like we can assign similar type of task to this such type of students, so the grooming can be done. Then to present interpersonal problems, there are many of the students who sometimes hesitates to talk upon. I can correlate with the movie of Tare Jami Par, producer and director Mr. Amin Khan Saab. So there are certain interpersonal problems which can be put in the form of role play, and there is no direct pinpointing has been required. It can be simply a stage show, and can this type of problems can be overcome. To develop a situation for analysis, already discussed that there may be a realistic situation, there may be imaginative situation. So it is a type of a simulation based activity where the students can learn about it. To develop understanding of points of view of others. Again, this is the biggest problem with we people, particularly who are in the academics, because now we love to speak a lot, but we can't listen up after a certain period of time. This is a human problem, just like that. Similarly, when the students may face such type of problems, so it helps to understand the pain, the shortcomings, the weaknesses of their teammates who are performing the different roles. To increase insight into typical way of dealing with a particular problem. So it provides a way to get insight, deep insight about a specific problem, and just to identify and overcome such type of problems. To provide an opportunity for social interaction amongst members. Our students, almost all of us, where we two institutes we belongs to, used to go for the role play activities in the remote areas, in villages, with having certain causes and effects. Just like Mahila Shiksha Yojana, Pro Shiksha Yojana, then education to the girls. Uske baad mein, then it comes upon that how to overcome this early marriages, and many social type of activities can be there. Literacy. So this provides a platform. That is a role play activity only. Fine. So here are the few examples you can see on the screen, just like it helps in enhancing the critical thinking, improving the problem solving skills, and fostering creativity. It helps to create the new things with the reasonable amount of time. What are the benefits? Number one, it engages the students in the class. Number one thing, particularly when we talk about this conventional courses, the students used to get bored at very soon. If you go through the internet, you can go through the various studies, and that study says that students are active to listen you, and the maximum time duration is of 20 minutes. But if we are having a lecture of 1 hour or 1.5 hours, so see how much time, or it is a challenge for us to engage the students for the whole of the time. So ultimately, this role play activity can engage the students throughout that particular lectures or lecture. Once they are involved in performing the role, it will be beneficial for them. They are going to enjoy, and at the second side, if the another group is there, or there are the other students sitting on the opposite side, they are also going to enjoy these things. So it is helpful to engage the students and have to develop the better learnings. To enhance current teaching strategies, we used to adopt certain things. But besides that, role play activity can enhance those strategies. I don't know how many of you have gone or ever visited Indore, but there is a dancing cop. He has been awarded by various authorities. There is a case study on this. There is a documentary available on the YouTube. This dancing cop stands nearby the High Court, and the objective is to only control the traffic. But there is a stylish way. You can just search about this fellow. There is a stylish way, and it's a very eye-catching. What is the ultimate objective? The ultimate objective, number one, to overcome the stress of that man as a traffic controller, and at the second side, it's eye-catching. So the people who are standing on the square, it provides some type of uh, easiness to those people. So this is the one of the strategy the person adopted. The same thing can be, such type of strategy can be asked our students to perform. They can go through that type of videos and something new things can be generated. Another benefit is provides the real world scenario to help students to learn. Ultimately, many of the things keeps on during the various parts of the world. There are various wars going presently. So at least once they are performing similar type of roles, they can understand what the actual pain is all about. Learn skills used in real world situations like negotiation, debate, teamwork, cooperation, and persuasion. So only explaining, just detailing about a few. Number one, it helps to negotiate. Many of the times the students hesitate to negotiate. Just they used to go to the shop, whatever, or any other situation, whatever the task has been assigned, they want to purchase something, they have gone and they pay the price and comes upon. But as an Indian, it is deep rooted that there is a tendency always to negotiate it. Even when there is a vegetable wala, the ठेला wala, we negotiate कि भैया 10 रुपए का हमने खरीदा तो 2 रुपए का धनिया फ्री दे दो, or you just charge somewhat lesser amount for it. Particularly if I talk about myself, so I never hesitate to negotiate with the fixed price shops, and I can share that most of the time little bit amount is been saved in certain conditions. That means there is a margin. In the similar way, may not be, it all depends, but there is no harm. Whatever the shopkeeper is going to see will totally refuse. Okay, no bargaining, this is the rate you want to purchase. Okay, otherwise no, doesn't matters. Then it becomes our choice, we should do it or not. So similarly, negotiations will help in various parts of his or her life. Just like they are entering into the world of the corporate area, they should learn how to negotiate and to get the best of the best from that corporate. Debate is a good activity. Debate is also the one type of a role play activity. We can say there is a one in the favor, another in opposite speaking, talking about. So ultimately it improves the knowledge and learning of those students. Teamwork, already discussed that role play helps in developing the teamwork activities. They do understand the cooperation and persuasion. Now, besides that, another benefit, it provides the opportunities for critical observations of peer ones. It is just like they are doing in informal groups. They have their own friends, their own peer groups. But role play sometimes is very helpful. Just like I think one time in a year, the students used to get the opportunity, and that is on Teachers' Day, which is just coming upon, in which usually the student used to perform the role of their teachers. So this is the same thing. Ultimately, this observation helps by their peer groups to understand, to overcome the shortcomings of those students and to make them better. At the next part, there are certain values required under role play activity. The individuals may develop new skills for dealing with the problems in human relations. We have already discussed that it tried to help to towards better understanding about human relations. Any person, a student, can be asked to be a senior citizen and who is living a retired life. So what are the values? What are the pains that retired person is having? Their children may be living or staying somewhere far out of India and some another Western world or some another in the eastern part of the world. So it is the biggest challenge. Secondly, in case if they are living alone, so how they are just having tackling their life in case if they are having they are ill, so how such type of problems, how to overcome it, such types of things can be developed with the help of role playing activity. It can be tailored to fit the specific need and situation of a particular group that is using it. So it is again, there is no such restriction. The role play activity can be tailored. It means it can be modified as per the situations or required conditions. It is a way of presenting human relations problems. The student can experiment with behavior. They can commit mistakes. They can develop new skills. And ultimately, it all depends upon the role of a teacher who is the mentor under this activity. There are 4 types of role plays activities. First is the fandom, second is original, third is group based activity, and the fourth one is one-to-one. The first one is the fandom. Now, what is a fandom activity? Fandom is basically the combination of traditional conventional mode of role playing activity with the inclusion of some fictions involved in it. There can be the online role plays games like it. The players can write messages because with the help of the internet, many of the things has been developed. Players can write messages, they can post messages, they can comment on it, and they can discuss much more about the characters which they want to perform or which they want to include in their script. Under the fandom system, the role play is based upon the existing universe, which may be taken from some fiction, just like maybe a book or a movie, anything from it. And there are the some of the actual characters, and combinedly this activity has been developed. That 2 factors again are been included. Number 1, that is the alternate universe. In short, it is known as the AU, and it is a subcategory of fandom. It contains usually some of the changes such as reverse genders or the characters are all cat. That means there can be a changes in the characters, which actually what they have observed in that particular book, movie, or any of the this fiction. Another subcategory is known as the crossover. It is a combination of 2 or more fandoms. Means 2 imaginative things can be included together. Just for an example, a character has been picked from the Harry Potter movie, and another character has been just picked from Hunger Games. This image, what you can see, it is a subject to the copyright of the original source. That is most important. And here are the 2 characters. This is the this image of Spy Kids. I'm not remembering the version, maybe 3 or 4. So these are the 2 specific characters. Actually, they are playing games, and finally they are entered in some virtual world. Only the mind is been raided by him, but physically they are in the real world only. They are been later performed to play, to act. They are 2 good friends. But in this movie, they need to fight. They need to kill one of it, and then only they can enter into the next level. So this type of activity can be included under in the form of a fandom activity, as a fandom role play activity. Anything can be included, not necessarily required what exists in the real world is to be included over there. The second type of role play activity, and that is the original acting or original. Originality is to be performed. That is a completely original setting that the role players make up. It can be anything. It can be fantasy. It can be historical. It can be real life, etc. So the actual, just someone is playing the role of a Shivaji Maharaj. Someone is playing the role just like of any freedom fighter. It may be any politician. It can be any business tycoon. Anything can. So that is the original activity, just like what we used to see in the movies. Biopic, something like that. Third type of role play is in the form of group. The role play is between the group of, there is a group formation of 3 or more people, and they all can communicate, they can act, and another groups can sit and watch them. So here there is a more opportunities available, and to overcome our own hesitation and the fear factor. It is just like the students are performing on the stage in our annual fest. The another type of activity, it can be very popularly suited for our classroom activity, that is the one-to-one. Here normally the role play activity is between the two people. It can be either in the matrix of 1:1, it can be in the matrix of 2:2, or something like that. So here there is a direct communication between the two very small groups, and they used to perform. And this can be activity where you have a small batch sizes of the students, because ultimately we need to engage all of the students in such type of activities. Otherwise, they are going to lose the interest. This is another example we have seen many of the time. That is the moot court. This is what? This is the simply a role play. You can see there is a judge or judges sitting over here. Then there is a verdict. There is a criminal. There are the few audiences. So the students are to be considered as the audiences. So this is the basic item which is very regularly been utilized for the training of the training in the law-based courses, LLB or BLLB, something like that. What are the steps involved in the role play? These are some of the standard steps, but you can have addition or subtraction in it. The very first thing, that is the necessity of a situation. Now, situation need to be created either by the students, or if not, then you are the trainer, you are the director, you are the leader, and finally you need to provide the situation amongst the students. Second, you again as a mentor need to explain the situations amongst them. You need to define the various roles. What are the physical settings? Which type of systems are to be developed? This everything is to be deeply studied and to be noted down. So it is just like you are simply writing a script for a movie. The third step is involved, and that is the casting of the roles. Once you are very clear about a situation, secondly, once it has been elaborated, then you need to assign the roles to the student as per their caliber and the capabilities. You can work in the reverse way also. If you assume that one student having a shyness or the designate to talk upon a particular topic, you can assign the different role that he or she need to speak much more. So this can be overcome by the student, these shortcomings. Prepare the role players. After casting of the roles, you need to prepare them. Prepare the observers who are going to observe, who are going to command, who are going to train them. Then setting of the scene, a situation is being created. Now the scene is to be setted, and after that you need to run the role play. Finally, the role play activity is being continuated. Once the things are being setted, finally the role play activity has been completed. But in case if you assume that some of the corrections are required, then it can be done. So ultimately, these all are the steps which are to be under focus of a teacher who is going to take care about this role play activity. Because you are the motivator, you are the leader for them. So just extending few of those points. First thing, that is the creation of an character. Again, I talked, the character may be a realistic character, may be some artificial, or maybe fandom based. A realistic character, just like maybe Gandhi ji, Nehru ji, or some other type of person, Shastri ji, and they can perform such similar type of role. So what are the characteristics you need to focus? Number first thing, that is the physical appearance, because the appearance of that character indicates that how the things looks upon. If we talk about the legendary actor like Kishore Kumar or Johnny Walker, sometimes these are the Indian legends who are having an abnormal characteristics, and the abnormal performance was been putted by them, so they have their own image in the they have their own image. Similarly, if we talk about this like Charlie Chaplin or maybe Lauren and Hardy, so can you reverse the Lauren Hardy? One is a fatty person, another person is a thin person. Can you just reverse this person? May the output may not be, because we are having an imagination of one person is the Laurel, suppose is a thin, the Hardy may be a fat person, so we are having the same imagination. Can you imagine a person, Gandhiji like person without specs? Because that is the physical appearance, and the dhoti is always been assumed, because most of the time we have seen him in images in the similar order. So you need to define each and every physical appearance. It can be start from their hair, eye, skin, color, shadow, everything. And this will help other writers to visualize this character. So just there is an image on your screen, you just try to visualize. If time permits, we will just have a few, one or two participants discussion, which type of character they assume this person to be. And you can also use as image instead if permitted. So you can write it down. If you are good in sketching, you can create the image, so it will be more meaningful and explainable. Secondly, you need to define the personality. Once again, the same thing. If I talk about the Gandhijis, we know what is the personality of that person. If we talk about Shastriji's, their personality. So these things already, or Napoleon, if we talk or think upon, so the different personality comes to our mind because we have seen in that mode only. Similarly, if this character is somewhat new, you want to just pretend or create, so you can define that personality in the similar manner. Again, you need to think upon their character's goals. Defining personality includes many of the other inbuilt characteristics, which includes just like goals, objectives, motives, and the desires of that person. Another character I just like to correlate, and that is the Lambu Motu. So Motu is the Motu Patlu, sorry. So the person Motu has been energetic, or is been having a charge only when this fellow eats lots of samosas. So this is the one somewhat a different, distinct characteristic has been developed by the developer of that cartoon who has created this set. Maybe a Chacha Chaudhary and Sabu. So Sabu is somewhat a very hi-fi person, very bodybuilder who arrives from somewhat different planet. This is how you need to define such type of things. Third step to be included while defining the characteristics, and that is the likes and dislikes. Now, again, it is not necessarily required that all likes should be positives and all dislikes should be negative. No, it can't be like that. What you can assume, just if I talk about Sabu as a character, I want to modify this character. So Sabu is good. He's a bodybuilder, very hefty, and can do any of the things. But the dislike can be like that the person, the Sabu, dislikes spider or maybe lizard or something like that, or maybe a mosquito. This character is very afraid. Once this character sees, the character starts running away. So these two types of things can be defined. It depends upon all of your choices. Next step involved, that is developing the skills and talents. Everyone is good at something, so you should try to include those good ideas, just focusing about that character. That particular means that particular students for which you are developing the script. you can include the characteristics of those students which they are good enough. Even you can include something your character is bad at it, order to make them more believable. Can you imagine it? A movie without a villain? Okay. So, why these characters are being inserted? Otherwise, there will be no such story left over. It may end up in next 30 minutes. So ultimately, some villain is been there. So it do some type of nuisances, and then the movie is carried over. But again, for this 1960s, 70s, something, all of these bad characteristics have been performed by the villain, and comedian role has been performed by some another comedian. So to bring something new, what they tried, now those villains wish to be perform the role of the comedian too. Kadar Saab, Shakti Kapoor ji, and these are the some of the legendary actors who initiated with such type of incursions. So goodness, that some new characters came upon, the badness, the comedians, the pure comedians, the demand of those comedians was been reduced to a certain extent. So anyhow, it's all type, the time things comes upon and moves upon. So you need to develop, you need to identify and develop those skills and talents. And along with that, there is a need of some backstory. There need of some background story, how and why this character was being created by you, or maybe why this requirement of this character generates. It is just like Bahubali 1, Bahubali 2, Katappa ne Bahubali ko kyo mara. This is the base for the Bahubali another 2 story. Similarly, it can be included here. So there may be many of the characters can affected. Just maybe the history of the character, the family life, occupation, and many other factors. A character may be a very poor person, and the character does not have money to survive. Besides that, that character worked a lot, educated himself herself a lot, and ultimately become a big man. Now, what is the impact? As this character has seen many ups and downs in his life, so once he become a rich person, maybe a successful person, the fellow may dislike many of the rich people and may like the poor people. And this is how the character of Robin Hood comes upon. The same character functions, it was been adopted for Jackie Shroff in the later. He belongs to the same category. So some background story can be there while developing their characters. As discussed, you need to make the character believable and realistic. I always correlate with the movies so that it's easy to understand. I have read earlier that Pran Saab used to play as a opposite to the hero as a major villain. So people at the time used to say that stay once he in a real life and is moving somewhere in the Mumbai. So people used to be afraid about from him and they try to keep their children and a wife away from Pran Saab. That can be any negative things can happen. So this is how the deepness of the character has been included. That person really believes that this character is having a negative feeling. So to make them believable, there should be both negative and positive traits. Just like another example, the character is smart but too shy to speak up in the class and show off his or her intelligence. The person is very knowledgeable but can't speak. So you need to define the role play of such characteristics in such a way so that that character must be capable enough to come on the stage and speak. But in this case, if you're having one-to-one role play activity, it may not be very, very successful. So what we can do in this case, we can have a group activity. So the character will get equal opportunity to talk about. This is just the same way what we are in the management, as a management part or management institute, we ask the students to perform a group. they need to make the presentation on the specified pre-assigned topic. But same problem exists. There are one or two students in a group who doesn't want to speak due to shyness. So ultimately, we used to assign the responsibility of the team leader of that group. If that particular group, that student hesitates to talk, in that case, the team leader should motivate this character to speak upon. So this is how you can overcome such type of shortcomings. So just you can see at this image, there are the few characteristics they have defined, just like the strength, intelligentsia, focus, persistent. These are strength includes just like intelligentsia, focus, and persistent. So what we are doing, actually, we are defining the strength and weaknesses about the characters. What about the weaknesses? This fellow is a shy and rage. So let us have another example. Again, these all are the copyright images. It has been adopted by a Japanese site, and the reference has been given at the end of my presentation. So this is Chris Tara Canesi is a character they have defined. So how to define? So this is how this imaginations can be incorporated, or it can be simply written down. Number one, they started, or you can start with the basic details about the physical description about this characteristic. Note the character's gender, age, height, and weight. So it will helpful in defining or creating the image of that character. There are various softwares and tools are available in the nowadays where you can define all these things and you can just create this character. Then finally, you need to decide about this character's appearance. Just like here, they have included the black hair and purple eyes. Now, just looking through this character, it indicates, at least I have identified three broad things over here. Number one, as per the dressing sense, this indicates that this character is a rich person. This is my imagination. It may differ for you people. Just looking about the hairstyle, we can say this character is a stylish and is having a big blue eyes. This indicates that this character is notorious too. So simply by looking at the image, we can have an imagination about it. You can add some additional things on these characters, just like they have included some distinguished mark on the face of this character. So it can be somewhat eye-catchy for the audiences. Note your character's fashions. It all depends. Here, this character is a fashionable rich person. So the character must look stylish. It may be an actor, must look stylish. It may be a politician. They have their own style to wear. So they must look stylish. It can be a poor person. So maybe it's simple. It can be a farmer, and again, some basic characteristics are to be included. Simplicity comes upon. And along with that, you need to define the character's background and the class. So it is just noted over here. He's a person with an intelligent student, quite various and friendly. And along with that, he is the mysterious mastermind and mysterious. So such type of things can be defined once you are deciding the role of each and every characters. No doubt it's hardworking activity. It's not possible for a single person to do it. So you can involve your own students to get insight. Next steps comes upon is defining the style, script style. It can be in two ways. Number one is a narrative style and second is the script style. Some role players prefer to write using a narrative style, which reads like a typical book. It is the most popular style. Here, the script writers tells a story by connecting some events, thought, concepts, ideas, or plot. It is just like you are reading a novel and some backgrounds are being provided for it. They are mostly written in the sentence formats and there is no obligation to write in complete sentences. So a briefing can be done. All the write-ups should be interlinked and interconnected. So script writer must focus that there should be continuity while developing such a narrative style of script. Another is the screenplay style, which reads like a script. It is more suitable for fast-paced role plays, particularly once you are speaking and performing on the stage. In such type of cases, the screenplay is more suitable. Once some background story is being conducted, providing some details, historical information about these characters, that can be in the form of a narrative style. The next step comes, that is, read what other people write and wait for your turn and post a reply. It has been expected that each and everything should not be defined by the script writer or as a mentor being a teacher. You involve your students to develop certain things. As such, there is no limitation about the imagination. Ask them to create anything which is beyond imaginative, that can also be included. So in text-based role-playing, everyone writes their characters, says things, and does post, usually in the form of a forum. So presently we are talking in the modern terms. We assume that the students are very familiar about the internet and their uses. So in such type of situations, they are very, very helpful. If you are doing one-to-one role play, this may be in the form of instant messengers or even through the emails, the communication can be done. When your turn comes, post your characters part of the story. Post as soon as you can. If you are unable to post in the timely manner, let your role play partner or the group leaders know. So this is what they are expecting, that whatever need to communicate, it can be at a very faster pace, and text-based contents can be transferred from one person to another person. Do not pester people for replies. This can be annoying, because don't expect the immediate reply, because the another person sometimes might be possible, maybe busy with some another task. So it may require some time to make a reply for it. So have patience. In such conditions, you wait for it. If not, you can simply send a reminder for it. Don't ditch a role play without a word. If you want to move as being a character, if you want to move out from that activity, it's better you just make understandable about to the group why you want to move out. It should be informed to the group leader and the mentor why you want to move out from it, and then so that another replacement can be done. With that, the another activity has been required, and that is the maintenance of the etiquettes. Particularly when there is a characteristic doubling. Doubling means two type of roles are being performed. In that case, many other things are to be included. Just like this type of a double role in a movie. I've just taken image again, which copyrighted to share my video. This is the image clip from the Navrang. That lady actress, she's playing one role in a particular dance sequence, and at the second side, she performs the role of a man. So, in a case, if two different characteristics are to be performed, both script must be equally balanced. That is required focus in it. Now, what are the effects on the role play of the student? It helps to develop real communication skills in leadership, in developing interviewing skills and social interacting. Just like mock interviews can be conducted. Usually we used to, all management and most I think institute also perform this type of activities. Develop sensitivity to another's feeling by having the opportunity to put oneself in another's place and develop empathy and understanding. It is just like the same thing that our co-faculties who's been asked or been sent to perform the examination duties in the classroom, they always are having complaint to the control room, because they think that these are the control room people who are enjoying, and after 30 minutes they have no other works to do. Rest of the time they are simply refreshing, eating, enjoying, laughing, and all these things. But once they should be the part of the control room is somehow, anyhow, sometime after, so that can understand the real importance, what the works are to be carried, because control room is not 3 hours duty, it's the full day activity and may require even to work on the off days. So this is how the role play helps in developing the sensitivity. It helps the students to develop in the form of a training. So basically role play provides the training to the students so they can better and groom in the better manner. Preparation for unpredictable situations. As discussed, they can understand. It is just like role play in case of Japan. They do understand. See, their patience level is measurable and remarkable. In the childhood only they are being they are trained that in case volcano or earthquake occurs, in case the earthquake occurs, how to protect themselves. This is their learning. The patience full learnings make them without a single injury to escape from a plane which was being crashed in Japan last year. All of the passengers and the crew members, they themselves put out without a panic, and no casualty was been there. But those who have flied, they do understand how the Indian concepts comes, how the Indian performs. As soon the plane lands, we as the passengers stand up. Air hostess keeps announcing, just please be seated. Nobody listens about it. We at the same time open the hatch and want to get our luggage in our hands. It takes near about 10 to 15 minutes to get the door open, but we all are standing in the queue and just to move out. So this is how the difference occurs. So ultimately, the training is important. It that predictable situations occurs, it is important. Next benefit is testing of the ideas. Ideas initially seem brilliant but fails in role plays. Sometime of the things comes upon, there are some good ideas. You think that it can be performed well, it can be executed well, but when you go through the role play, sometimes it may look upon that it is not a significant idea or we have failed to work upon. So these are some of the effects of the role play on the students. Ultimately, when we are talking about the role of a teacher or an educator to the students, so you can see that the Radhakrishnan Saab saying that impact of teachers' role play is shaping future. So the teachers provide an opportunity to note individual student by observing and analyzing her needs in the real life situation. So finally, it becomes our responsibility to make the student understandable, not only about the academic world, but about the real life conditions. It encourages independent thinking and action by stepping aside of giving indirect guidance to emphasize them to themselves. In civics, we have studied many of the things. This should be there, this should be that. But does it really been followed in the real life situation by present students? They are lacking etiquettes. This is the most challenge, particularly we people are facing. They have no manners. They doesn't know how to talk upon. So why these things are happening? Ultimately, some thing, some training is been missing. So to make them understandable, I think the role play activity is much better and helpful. Teachers can correct the errors and the use of role play for specific teaching on the subjects. So many of the times the things which can't be explained, in terms of text, the role play activity can perform much better. These are the few examples for role play activities. Just like you can ask the students to perform in the interviews process. There can be interviewer, there can be interviews, there can be the students who are standing in the queue waiting for their turn for the interview. Very recently, we have just organized a job fair. Many companies were been invited in this job fair. The students are just, there was a QR code and the contact number been assigned. So students are asking, although it was already been defined, that why, which type of companies we should work, what they are going to ask us. These are very basic questions. One or two just I'm quoting. Many things were been there. So that such type of things can be overcome with having such type of practices amongst the students. Secondly, helpful in marketing activities. A student can assume the position of a sales representative or for selling a product. The student can be a marketing manager. A student can be a reluctant buyer, a sales representative, any of them. Another, it can be utilized in detailing. For a guest speaker in merchandising course, a student can play the role of a sales manager, sales representative to gain better insight on the responsibilities of these positions. So in retail market activities, the student can learn how to sell the product to the customers. Many of the students can be the customers. Helps in counseling, particularly very helpful in terms of clinical practices. The student can play the role of a family therapist whose client has revealed she has committed a criminal act. So someone has committed some criminal type of thing, or maybe somewhat engaged in some other type of things, maybe such like addiction of drug. Such type of activities can performed by the various students. So it can be provide a social message to the society and themselves that why we should stay away from the drugs and such type of things. Teaching. Helpful in preparation for the job fair, student can role play the teachers and the student or the administrator or the student or the teacher as a parent. So it helps in improving and enhancing not only our knowledge, but at the same time, it supports to the students for a better understanding. If you ask the present generation, how many amongst you are interested to be a teacher after fulfilling or getting their post-graduation course? I think that percentage is very, very low. Why this thing is happening? Ultimately, we are losing something where the students are not been very attracted. Debates. It is a spontaneous based activity. The instructor has students briefly prepare arguments for and arguments against position on a topic. So role play activities in the form of debate can be very, very helpful. And these things the students are performing since their early childhood. So in the form of a concluding remark, role play activity and getting the role play activity is not as easy as it looks to be. It looks easy as a participant or an observer, but it requires lots of preparation in the critical thinking or creative thinking. As we have seen in our slides, that many type of things, many type of areas need to be focused while defining the role play activity. Designing great scenarios, conflicts in which makes the role play for the participants and successful in terms of outcomes or the results. As there is unpredictability of role playing, it is an idea tool for training, testing ideas, and preparing students or the people for unpredictable situations in general. This is already we have discussed. And ultimately, role play is not only an activity which is forced to the students to be performed. Role play activity can be considered as a fun. So some comics moments can be added while you are defining or you are performing or ask the students to perform their activities. So This is all from my side. These are the few resources from this information has been taken upon. You can access those information, and this is my email for further queries. You can even write to me. So thank you for patiently listening to me. This session is open for your queries. You can unmute your mic and put your queries. Participants, any query from any one of you?
Not any query, sir, but I would say that it was a very informative type of lecture by you. And I just wanted to give an example that in role play, we can, I think, I'm an economics teacher. So I think we can go in for budget session, which takes place in the
Very nice.
parliament, right?
Yeah.
So one can be opposition party, one can be ruling party, there can be a speaker. So we can float different ideas. So I think this will be quite interesting for the students.
Very
So
true.
if you have any idea about this,
Even the
thank you.
participants can share their learnings and how they are doing the such type of things for their students, so the other participants can also have an idea about it.
Right, right.
Okay.
Very interesting and
Thank you.
informative type of lecture, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable views. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So, sir, with your permission, may I leave now? Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'll
sir.
put my email on you
Thank
over
you,
here.
sir. It was very
Any queries,
informative.
you can please send to it. I will just try to answer it, those queries. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. सर वी मिस्ड सर्स ईमेल आईडी वो जो स्लाइड में लिखी हुई थी ना उसका नहीं नोट करा तो सर ग्रुप पे भेज देंगे आप ठीक है सर थैंक यू सो मच सर
Sir, there is no session tomorrow. Okay. 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 Thank you, sir.